We're gonna cover the hip flexor strengthening, a few exercises that are gonna be good for this. The reason this is important because the hip flexors are probably the most overlooked muscle on your body. They get passively supported when we sit in a chair all day and the back of the chair is supporting our hips. We don't really realize it, but it's passively supporting it, they're getting shortened and weakened. So the simplest variation of this is I hug my knee and I lift my leg up and down, straight leg lift. There's all kinds of other things, but once you can do that, then we want to move forward. A big thing to note here is that a lot of people keep this round in the lower back and they don't realize, people go, this is really easy. It should be harder. It's like, actually, that's because you're not really doing it well. Shift your pelvis forward. So a way to test yourself is if you sit up tall, arch your back, sit up on the sits bones of your butt, and you slowly straighten this leg out and flex this quad. Then you can hold onto the knee and you'll notice, oh, this gets a lot harder. That's the first step. And then you take that, the next step up is this seated pike or straight leg lifts. The same thing, don't fool yourself. Shift your hips forward, bend the knees, and you can slowly lower this down. And you may notice that I can't even straighten my legs all the way up because my hamstrings are so stiff and tight. All of this is good feedback and good information. But once you get to this point where you're really leaning forward, you're on your sits bones, you're feeling that, you're leaning as far forward as you can, flex the knees so your legs are straight. Do not try and cheat this. Don't think that this is gonna cover it. It's not gonna do it. You gotta really lean in and be as strict as possible with this form so that you can lift and then actually get to work in. I'm not sitting here trying to show that I'm the perfect example of doing everything at a world-class level. I'm working on it just like you are. But I am saying is that when you really hold yourself to a high standard, that's when you start to get a big level of improvement because you're not cheating it all the time. If this feels too easy, I can guarantee you it's because you're not using good form. So quick reminder, the hip flexors are the muscles that flex the hip. Working on them, you want to get to an in-range of motion and then actually work on lifting and engaging these muscles. And that's going to put you in a position where you're actually getting stronger because when you stride, the hip flexors will pick the knee up. So if you can't stand and pick the knee up and get it above the hip on both sides, that's when you don't have the strength in the hips, but that's not enough to be an excellent athlete or to excel in any movement. So really focus on getting these hip flexors, the muscles from the base of the spine to the top of the femur. Those muscles are really important, so work on them. Start with these two variations and then continue. The sky's the limit after that.